Hello everybody and welcome. This is another episode of Kevin Creatives. Check out my custom high-grade Earththree core Gundam. And this is a really nice build, surprisingly good. I didn't have the highest hopes for the Build Divers Re-Rise series in terms of the designs. I felt that the original Build Diver series, the designs were just not connecting with me. I don't want to say they were bad or anything. I think some of them were pretty cool, but for the most part, wasn't feeling it. So when Build Divers Re-Rise came along, the core Gundam, at first, I was a little taken back by the tiny little guy, but seeing what it can do and the capabilities and the potential and all that, and especially seeing all the really awesome customs over the years, it completely grew on me. I went ahead and picked up every version of I could. I got everything. Every bit of the core Gundam I have. Even I have multiples to make sure that I can have every form. I want to have a display of every version of the core Gundam on a shelf. Maybe not forever. I'll probably sell them off eventually, but I want to hold on to all of them until I can at least have that display. I think that'd be really cool. So to start things off, I figured, obviously, Earththree, the first one. Yeah, like I said, really caught me off guard with how good this kit is. Even just the build, the way they engineered and everything, really comes together pretty nice. Like I said, a bit surprised by how good this kit really is, which is great. That's awesome. That's the kind of surprise you want to have. So in terms of the colors of the kit, I went pretty light. I figured, alright, this is Earththree, it's based on Earth, the sky and all that, blue, it's a blue model kit. So I figured I'd go a little bit lighter on the blue just to kind of emulate that sort of ocean sky feel of the Earth. And I think I did a really good job. I'm extremely happy with how the shading came across on this one, especially with the blue. I started by mixing together a couple of blues to make a little bit of a dark base to it. Not dark, but a darker base than what I wanted it to be. And then I added in, basically I kept that same mixture of those blues, added in a very light sky blue to it just to brighten it up, and then went over it with that to highlight it. And I think the blend, because I used the same base colors in the mixtures, I think that helped blend the colors really well. So I was very happy with both how the colors came out as well as the shading and effects that go with it. The red, I went for a bit of a, I don't know how to put it, grayish red? I really don't know how else to put it. It's not a dark red, it's not a bright red, it's just kind of like a plain red, I guess. A very just flat kind of plain Jane red. And the reason I did that is that's just kind of the vibe that the core Gundam gave me. It didn't really seem like a very vibrant design, especially with that kind of navy blue black color that went with it. So I figured in terms of the yellow and the red, I'd keep it very just in the middle, and I think that came across very well. I think the shading on both of those could have been a little bit more pronounced. I think I did basically the same concept. I used a base color and then just added a little bit of lighter colors to it. I don't always do, just because it doesn't always work. I think it works really well for this blue, but I've noticed for colors like red especially and yellow, you kind of have to make the change in the shading a bit more noticeable or you won't see it at all. So something to keep in mind. For this navy bluish color, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember that too well. That might have just been black with navy blue sprayed on top of it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm just going to say that's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. But that came out like pretty much how I wanted it. Pretty perfect, pretty pristine. It's kind of in that middle area where, like I said, it's not black, it's not blue, it's just kind of hovering in between, and I really like that. So I feel like some of these designs, like the new Gundam, the Mark II, and this core Gundam, have this very unique blackish navy blue that's kind of a custom that you just have to figure out. And I think this one, I did a really good job of getting that middle tone area where, again, I wouldn't say this is blue and I wouldn't say this is black. It just kind of just hovers in the middle. So this kit was actually part of a project I was working on where I wanted to do 4 high grades in a row, and I just wanted to put everything that I could think of into them and just see how good I can make them. And I picked out 4 pretty basic high grades that on the surface, nothing really special to them, but if you paint them up and make them really nice and put in a ton of work, they would look better than anything else. And that was kind of the mindset I was going for. And the reason I did the Earththree as part of it is because the other 3 were the Shining Gundam, the God Gundam, and the Wing Zero. And those are kind of older kits. They range between 2010 to 2014, I believe. Somewhere in that area is where those came out, and this one came out in 2020. So I did want a kind of to offset things and have those Earththree be really old kits, and this one be more caught up to where I was at, just because I wanted to see how the engineering changed between those kits and this kit. And you can really see it. It's nice. It's nice that when you go between kits like that, that's kind of the fun of it. It's just to see where things kind of go between where they were and where they are now with the building and engineering and designs at Bandai. One little thing I want to talk about is the little silver cylinders I painted on the sides of the knees. You don't see these a lot, but every now and then you'll see a design where they have these cylinders on the sides of the knees. I don't know what they're called. I don't know, bolts or whatever, but I freaking love those. Those are some of my favorite aesthetics to Gundam designs. I love those big round cylinder things, bolt things with the line through them. I don't even know how to describe them. They look amazing though. So those were molded in as part of, I think, the thigh piece. They definitely weren't their own separate pieces. I just went ahead and masked things off and painted those in silver. I will say the silver I used, I think was just the standard Mr. Color silver, and did come out great. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably one of the worst silver paint jobs I've ever done. That is the fly in the ointment for this one, because for some reason, it doesn't look bad, it just doesn't look fancy. It looks very flat. I didn't put a flat coat over anything. I guess I should have prepped better and maybe added a thicker layer of glossy black to the cylinder so that way the silver would pop more. I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened, but yeah, oh well, no big deal. So this is one of the first few kits where I really wanted to try out masking off pretty much any panel line opportunity that would normally be there. Instead of doing that, I masked it off and did metallic little detailings instead. I just filled them in by masking and painting over it. This, I think, was the kit where I was like, yes, this is the way to go. I love this. I did think I did a really good job of really bringing out those tiny little details in this high grade and making them jump out at you. On the shoulders, we have this silver detailing here that I decided to add in, as well as on the hip area, the waist. We got those little silver bits on the little red bit on the crotch. The shoulders, I also got some silver bits put on there, on the top and on the side, on the inner part of the shoulder. I think that looks really nice. As well as the top of the hand, I added in those silver lines there. It makes such a difference. I am so glad this is where I'm going with my style, and I decided to try that out. It really makes a difference. Same thing with the legs. I tried to add in as much metallic detailing as I could. And then even in the bottom of the Core Lander feet and the Earththree feet, I added those gunmetal details rather than just keeping it in the standard opaque colors that it was designed in. I feel like if you just kind of go out of your way, do a little bit of masking, start things off with the gunmetal, I'm telling you, these little tiny things you don't even think of, just put them all together and you get something pretty crazy. Same thing with the top of the forearm. There's like a gunmetal bit that I just masked off. It adds a lot of layers without doing anything at all. All you're doing is just adding a tiny bit of paint, but it looks so deep and it makes the design just look full. It looks heavy. It looks like it'll come alive, and that's what I wanted to go for. The shield as well, I added the lining of silver around the inner part of the white shield against the dark navy blue, as well as those silver bits on top of the dark navy blue, and that again just adds so much depth to this design. I love it. I love it so much. This is one for the ages for me. This was the second model kit that I actually decided to try out decals on, water slide decals. The first one was the Master Grade Mark II. I did water slides on those. That was the very first time I wanted to test the waters. This was the second time around where I think I've pretty much got it down. Still need to practice here and there, but I feel like the results have been increasing since. And the reason I decided to add the water slide decals to this kit to begin with is just because they did a really good job on the design of this kit, both with the show and for the actual model kit. I think this little high grade in terms of its design is just very sophisticated is the best way to put it. I feel like it's just a lot sharper, a lot more regal. It's got a lot more going on than you would see with your standard high grade. I can tell they really wanted this to work. They had an idea, especially with the combining with the core Gundam to all the external parts. This was the main lead. They wanted it to shine, and they did a really good job. So I felt like adding water slide decals fit for this design. Even looking at it now, I completely agree with that decision I made. The water slide decals add a sense of realism to this kit that I feel was already there just due to the detail and engineering that Bandai went ahead and did on this. Like I said, you can feel and see the difference between the 2010 era versus the 2020 era of model kits. There's a big difference. It's a 10-year gap, and it shows, and I'm really happy with it. I believe this was also one of the first few designs where I decided to add colored accents as well. So for example, on the back of the head, as well as the wings, I added this kind of turquoise colored accent just to kind of make it look like there were some LED effects going on. It didn't really work too well just because the colors themselves, I didn't use metallics. I wanted to see what I could do with just opaque colors and see if I can give it some sort of effect. And I don't think it looks bad at all. I think it actually looks really good. I think the opaque turquoise against the opaque white and blues and all that, I think that works. Still figuring things out in terms of that glowing thing. You're probably going to hear this a lot because I always try to add glowing effects to the kits just for... I'm not big in LEDs. I don't want to do electrical work. I don't want to draw up the kits. I don't want to have a bunch of wires. I want to see what I could do with just paint alone. This was a test and we went somewhere. I don't know where, but we went somewhere. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a great experience. If you are thinking about getting a core Gundam, I highly recommend it. They're a fun time, like I said. A lot of detail to be worked with. And if you have already built and painted yours, please let me know. I want to see it. I am very big into looking at people's customs. I want to see it. So we'll see you then, and then take it easy.